Dr. Lisa Chang paused outside the reinforced containment cell, her tablet displaying warnings that would have sent most researchers fleeing back to safer assignments. The being inside had been classified as a Category 5 hostile entity, the highest threat level in the Galactic Research Consortium's xenobiological database. Greg Thule, the Bone Crusher, warlord of the Crimson Nebula, slayer of the Vex High Legion. Standing 12 feet tall, with biometallic armor fused directly to his skeletal structure, 4 arms ending in claws capable of rending starship hulls, and a facial structure that seemed designed by evolution specifically to inspire terror in other species. His species, the Mordukai, had been at war with galactic civilization for over 3 centuries, and somehow he was now humanity's responsibility. Dr. Chang called Security Chief Martinez from behind the blast-resistant observation window. "Are you absolutely certain about this? The prisoner hasn't spoken to anyone in 47 days. 3 xenopsychologists have already requested transfers after working with him." Lisa adjusted her translator device and checked her notes one final time. The other researchers had approached Greg Thule as a specimen to be studied poking, prodding, taking samples, running psychological assessments. Standard protocol for a captured enemy commander. The problem was that Greg Thule wasn't technically a prisoner. He surrendered voluntarily, Lisa reminded Martinez. According to Mordukai honor codes, that makes him a refugee seeking sanctuary, not a captured combatant. "A refugee who could tear through our security barriers like tissue paper," Martinez muttered. The containment cell door cycled open with a series of mechanical locks disengaging. Lisa stepped inside, carrying only her tablet and a thermos of coffee. No protective gear, no emergency beacon, no weapons. Greg Thule sat motionless in the center of the cell, his massive form hunched over in what she had learned to recognize as the Mordukai posture, deep meditation. His forearms were positioned in ritual configurations, claws retracted, bioarmor dimmed to its least threatening coloration. "Good morning, Greg Thule," Lisa said in carefully pronounced Mordukai. "I brought coffee." The warrior's head turned slightly, amber eyes focusing on her with the predatory precision that had made him legendary across 17 star systems. When he spoke, his voice resonated with harmonic undertones that most species found physically uncomfortable. "You return, small soft one." "Why?" Lisa settled herself on the floor across from him, despite the fact that his seated form still towered above her. "Because everyone else is afraid of you, and that seemed like a pretty terrible way to spend eternity in protective custody." Greg Thule's facial plates shifted an expression that the translation database labeled as confusion with undertones of potential aggression. Lisa had been studying Mordukai emotional indicators for weeks and suspected the database was wrong about the aggression part. "Fear is appropriate," Greg Thule replied slowly. "I have ended many lives. Commanded fleets that turned worlds to ash. Your kind should fear me." "Yeah, well," Lisa said, pouring coffee into 2 cups. "Humans are pretty bad at doing what we should do." "Want some? It's Brazilian dark roast." She offered him one of the cups, which looked absurdly small in his massive clawed hands. Greg Thule examined it with the care he might have given an alien artifact. "This is a sharing ritual. Sort of. More like a sitting around having a conversation ritual. Very important in human culture." Greg Thule carefully brought the cup to his mouth, his biomechanical facial structure adapting to accommodate the foreign beverage. His reaction was immediate. All 4 arms went rigid, his optical sensors widened, and a subsonic rumble emerged from his chest. "Is that good?" Lisa asked nervously. "This liquid." Greg Thule began, then stopped, his translation implants apparently struggling with the concept he wanted to express. "Among my people, warriors who complete great battles, drink blood wine to honor the fallen. This, coffee, carries similar satisfaction, but without the requirement of death. Lisa blinked. That's probably the most profound description of coffee I've ever heard. For the first time since his capture, something resembling what might have been humor flickered across Gruxthul's features. Your kind creates much that is unexpected. Over the following days, Lisa found herself spending increasing amounts of time in the containment cell. Not conducting formal interviews or psychological assessments, but simply talking. She learned that Gruxthul had surrendered not out of cowardice or defeat, but because he had grown tired of a war that had consumed his entire adult life. "I have fought for 87 of your years," he explained during one session, his claws tracing geometric patterns in the cell floor that Lisa recognized as Morjukai battle formations. "I have watched entire generations of my warriors die for causes that no longer carried meaning. So you just stopped. I chose to seek what your people call Xylem. My species does not have such concepts. To abandon war is to abandon identity." Lisa began to understand why the other researchers had struggled with him. They had approached Gruxthul expecting a monster, preparing for psychological manipulation or information extraction. Instead, they had encountered something far more complex, a being experiencing an existential crisis that had no parallel in his species' culture. "What do you want to do now?" she asked one day, watching him carefully construct a small sculpture from discarded meal packaging. "I do not know," Gruxthul admitted. "Among the Morjukai, there is warrior and there is death. No other states of existence are recognized." "Humans have a saying," Lisa offered. "It's never too late to start over." Gruxthul's optical sensors focused on her with startling intensity. "Your species permits reinvention? It's basically our specialty. Failed musicians become doctors, soldiers become teachers, warriors become." She gestured at his small sculpture, artists apparently. The sculpture was intricate, beyond anything she had expected, a delicate representation of what looked like a star system, with tiny orbital mechanics carefully balanced using principles of physics that shouldn't have been possible with recycled food containers. "This represents the Kithara system," Gruxthul explained. "I conquered it during my 7th campaign. Many died." He paused, manipulating the tiny orbital elements. "But it was also beautiful. I had never before considered that a place could be both a battlefield and a work of art." 6 months later, Dr. Lisa Chang stood in the observation gallery of the consortium's new Cultural Exchange Center, watching Gruxthul demonstrate Morjuki meditation techniques to a group of interspecies psychology students. His massive form moved with surprising grace as he explained the warrior philosophy that had governed his species for millennia. Dr. Chang called Director Williams, joining her at the observation window. "I have to admit, when you first proposed integrating a former Morjukai warlord into our diplomatic corps, I thought you were completely insane." "And now?" Lisa asked, watching Gruxthul patiently answer questions from students who 6 months ago would have fled in terror at the sight of him. "Now he's one of our most effective cultural liaisons. 3 different species have requested him specifically for first contact protocols." Lisa smiled, remembering the terrified warrior who had refused to speak for 47 days. He just needed someone to see past the scary exterior and realize he was basically having the galaxy's worst midlife crisis. In the classroom below, Gruxthul was explaining the Morjukai concept of honor through understanding to a rapt audience. His 4 arms moved in careful gestures as he described how warriors could find purpose beyond warfare. And in the back of the room, a small coffee station had been set up, complete with Brazilian dark roast. Because some friendships, Lisa had learned, begin with simply offering someone a decent cup of coffee and the radical notion that everyone deserves a second chance.